Welcome. That's way too loud. Welcome to John critiques, reviews, paintovers. This is a paintover. John paintovers on a brave new soul. May in the chat requested a paintover. Only the chosen few. Only the chosen few get one. As long as you're a tier 2 sub. Her request is... Let me lower down the sound there. Her request is... let's bring it up. This character that she's painting should match the style that she's going for on these other images down here. There's some references that she attached to us. And we're gonna help her achieve the that look. I'm also stopping the music before it gets muted. Chosen by money. Alright, so here's the image. Let's make a new layer. Here are the references. Okay, so the first look, I'll take Colores away for a moment. So in the first look, I think you're getting there. I think you are closer to the sort of style that you are aiming for, which is like a highly or a realistic sort of render and drawing to your characters, with the background being like photo bashed and having that sort of monochromatic color to it, with maybe a couple of hue shifts here and there. Now your character, the first thing that comes to mind that you're doing well is that it feels very much like it would belong to these two. The only thing missing is maybe some of the rendering and also texturing of the character, like for example the skin and the hair, where the two meet. If you notice in the references, they actually make sure that you see the roots of the hairs, if there's any, since the character has the hair back. Yours might not have that much, or would not have that much, but we would still see some of that. Another issue that I'm seeing is that the values on your face need to be more contrasty. So, for example, in these two examples that that you sent me, the lighting is as if is outlining a lot of the features on the characters, right? You can use, I can tell you right now that there's a mix of photo bash with painting for these two icons. You could consider doing the same. I don't know if you have or haven't done that, but I would maybe like the earrings and stuff. I can see that might be a little bit photo bashing going on, but I would consider doing the same for like the lips, the main features of the face, like lips, eyes, nose. And then like do a mix of painting and stuff, painting and photo bashing to match what they have. That would definitely help it. But the main issue is definitely not enough contrast in the face. It's like well, you're a streamer, so like it's like a studio. You have some studio lights, and they sort of like even out your face. That's how she's looking like right now, and I can tell that the reference you have might not be the greatest in terms of light. There's another one that I didn't pull up, which is this one. Blah 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 blah. That one. This one would work a little better, just because this is the next thing I'm gonna touch up on, which is a bit of storytelling would help your image too. But this one, as far as contrast goes, would work just a little better, because you actually have contrast of shadow and light here, and then there's like pretty bright points, and then it can get sort of like mid-tony to darker areas in the face and on the neck. Although this still wouldn't be perfect in my opinion as far as references go. You definitely want contrast in your face. So what I would do, let's do the paint over. We'll take care of that first. Meanwhile, I would consider. So if you're trying to match, I don't know if this is for work or you're just trying to get. You're making a portfolio that is maybe targeted to a client. I don't know if this is like a freelance that you're doing, but I do still think that you can always one up, so to speak, the people you're either targeting for or even working for. So if you have these references, one thing that would make it better than what you're showing me on these references is a little bit of storytelling. For example, the one on the left seems a lot more ominous in her expression and lighting and the scene around her. Yours would match. It would be really fun to look at this character that you have here, and do something along the lines of the second reference that you have here. That maybe she's holding something, or try to give it a bit of instead of having someone stand there as far as portraits goes, try to think a bit further than that and have her do either some action or there is something happening. You know, there's so many options you could go with it, but I do think that it would be best if I'm gonna keep the references up there so that I can match it and explain to you what I would do. So that's pretty much it as far as where's my selection tool? That's pretty much it as far as like the main points that I'm gonna be touching on here. You're doing a very good job already. Like you are making this paint over quite easy for me. So if you are going to photo bash, which is what I would recommend, I don't think all of the faces were photo bashed. Like the whole thing is photo bashed. I think that parts of the face, at least in the references you send me, are photo bash, and then there's a mix of painting, and then maybe one nose from one person, eyes from a different one, that sort of stuff. But before you even get there, so what I did now is I selected the face so that I don't go beyond the forms here. You can paint directly. So I have a normal layer right now, or you could take what we have here, set it to I guess a multiply would work well in this case. It's simple and effective. Yeah, so you need to pick what is the angle you would like, and there's several options. The angle of the light is what I mean. There's several options you can do. So for example, if it's to match the other ones, the light is mainly shining on this side of the face, and every part of the portrait that turns away is hidden into shadow. So this whole half here, a lot of it would be obstructed. Maybe not like, I'm not saying perfectly split. I should Photoshop a new face and hair. I would Photoshop or photo bash parts of it. I'll do one section of the face for the paint over, so to show you what I mean. I'll also bring the colors here so you can see what I'm doing when I'm selecting colors. There you go. So I'm on a multiply layer right now, and I picked a I definitely have saturation in my multiply layer. So first thing we're gonna do is outline where the shadows would be. This might be a little too dark initially, but we will blend it out and make it a lot more subtle and softer. Also, this is the wrong brush. Oh, you know what? This is a perfect scenario to show you one of my favorite techniques to do, which is you paint with a normal round brush. It has transfer to it. So you almost cell shade. It's almost like a cell shade technique. And then you use a smudge brush to soften up areas and create like creases and form and stuff like that. So let's do that here. And I'll show you how that could be a fun way to... So let's... Right now, I'm mapping the shadow first. It will look a little weird initially, especially that now you have values and stuff, but once we blend out, it'll be pretty okay. Once you blend some of these. There you go. So right now what I'm considering is the core shadow. I'm not thinking about the... you see like there's like gradient around around the cheekbones and stuff. I'm not thinking about that yet. All I'm considering is the deepest shadows that might be on the face. Potentially might be on the face. So kind of like a little bit here, you know? Maybe a little bit like there. We're just mapping things in this moment. There you go. The ear, well, the ear definitely will get quite a bit of it. The good thing is that you already have forms, like at least the subtle forms of the face set up. So this is going to be quite easy for me to paint over, or sorry, add to it. So we'll take care of the face first. I'll help you out on the rest of the body. So let's say this is actually pretty okay. Now I'm using a smudge brush. I switched to my smudge brush here. You can get my smudge brush. Honestly, you can use any. There's so many good ones on DeviantArt and other places as well. The one I'm using is from my first set, my first smudge brush set. Not the one that has like 20 or 30 brushes, but the very first one. I think it's like the third one, which is just 3 smudge brushes. And I'm using that, and all I'm doing is I'm thinking to myself, okay, if here is a crease, like a sharp crease, as there would be here on the under the lip, then the top part, the rounded top part here is going to be soft, right? Another thing is that you can lower down the strength of smudge brush, because you can have like from 0 to 100% strength. The lower the percentage, the smoother your brush, your smudge brush will be. However, I also like to use smudge brush at 100% strength because I can drag this whatever I want. So I'm just showing you a little bit of the technique I would use to make changes like faster in your character. So if you have something that you've drawn, I can manipulate the direction of what I already placed in there or not. So right now I'm just going to lower down the opacity, going around and doing a little bit of this. There you go. So there's one thing about blending that I need to mention, is that I'm seeing that you're doing in some areas here, is that your character looks a little too airbrushed, and you can, if you are using the smudge tool or not, it doesn't matter what you use. You need a variety of edges or brush strokes to your character. So one thing that you always want to look into is you have a brush stroke, and then one side of it, or you have an area, and one side of it is soft and the other side is has a hard edge. When you look at references, like even here, well, sorry, wrong button. Even in this one where even on this one where the light is very even. If I zoom in here, the highlight is actually really, really sharp. Like, let me make a new layer. I don't know why. Oh, it's because it's selected. So here, it's very subtle, but like the highlight is actually quite sharp, this shape here. But because the value of the light is very, very close to like her skin or the general light affecting her skin, it looks like it seems to be like it is soft, but it actually isn't. The same goes with like the edge of her nose here. This is actually really sharp, but because there's so very little contrast, it appears to be soft, which it isn't. I'm just gonna go back. There you go. So what we're gonna be doing is there you go. That's what I'm thinking about when doing this paint over. That is like really, 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 really important. So I might blend a lot of this and then bring back some of it. It's a back and forth type of thing where I'll blend in quite a bit, then bring out again some of that harder edge, and then blend out just one side of it, and back and forth all the time like that until it looks like something that I would enjoy looking at, you know. So a little bit on the ear here too. Also the eyes. Okay, so as far as contrast goes, I don't know if I was mentioning this, the placement of the very darker shadows should be outlining the focal points. So for example, in your case here, it would be very nice, even if you are planning to have a subtle light scene or light setup for your character, you should still think of the most contrast being on the eyes, nose, and lips, which I think you're doing. It looks like that's what you're doing. However, I feel like we could pull from it even more. And again, a lot of this is I'm erasing, I'm blending, and then I'll bring some of it back again if it becomes too soft. The thing is that you don't want it to be too soft everywhere, or even too sharp. The same would be true if everything was just sharp edges. Then balance is key, pretty much. So I'm just going around here. This is going to be like quite airbrushed. I'm going to flip my canvas. And I mean, rendering is just something that takes time as well. There's really no other way to go around like rendering. I'm also going to use a soft eraser here. There you go. Oh, that's another way. Actually, I should have mentioned that earlier on. If you don't want to use a smudge brush, another way to do what I'm doing is just using an eraser like that. And you just erase the shape to whatever edges you want. Both work just as good, honestly. Another thing that would be nice for you to know is like placement of muscles or bones. Obviously, that goes without saying. But knowing where the bone placement is will make your judgment on whether an area should be sharper or softer in render. You know, the easy one is, for example, the cheekbones. Everyone knows where that it's quite hard. You know, or you can even touch your face, I guess, and feel whatever it's like pretty hard. Then chances are that the values in there might be, or the brush strokes in there might be a bit more, might have some edge to it. So what I'm doing now is it's pretty much the same thing over and over again, except I'm being very gentle with pressing down on my tablet. There's a couple areas I forgot here to do the nose. So you can tell already as I go that even at a smaller scale, which is the important bit, obviously there's still a lot of areas that need to be retouched, but even at a smaller scale, there's a more definition, especially to the nose, and we're gonna do the eyes as well. And eventually, the main features will stand out no matter like how small or big your image will be. Twitch streamer asks subscribers to touch themselves. Yeah. It wouldn't be anything new on Twitch. That's for sure. Yeah, so what I'm doing now is what I would consider to be the sort of mid-tone shadows. So I'm not so much thinking about the deep shadows, but more about the mid-tones, like, you know, the softer curves to the features, right? We're back to talking about dicks right now. Yops, wanna buy some happiness? We're not talking about dicks now, chat. God dang it. So let's do a little bit of the hair. Oh, you do have reference. Let's see. Yeah, we can't really. Okay, so actually, this is a good reference for the eyes. Her eyes seem to have the most contrast, other than like the lips. But the way there's a shadow, don't be afraid to add a little bit of shadow around the eyes so that it'll contrast against like the whole face. I also think that multiply won't do the whole job for you, so you'll have to make another layer, maybe set it to color. And hi Furious, this is not my work, I'm doing a paintover. So all props go to maailinh, or well, I mean Anne in the chat. But it is pretty good, the painting. You've improved a lot. That's when I've seen your work before. I've hanged out on your streams as well. And you have improved significantly, so congrats on that. Again, just looking for areas where we might need a little bit more contrast and sharper edges. It's pretty much the same thing as I said before, but over and over and over again. Another thing that will help this image that I'll do in a moment is it seems like the images that you have here do not have any bounce light. So for example, in the side of the nose, you might have like a brighter spot here. Just because it's not in the references, I think you should still apply it. It's something your image could benefit from, so I might add a little bit to it, you know. So again, the eyes, and again, this is a process that you need time and patience to, you know. I'm pretty much rendering for you, but you can see that it's slowly becoming more and more defined. Obviously, my paintover will never be as good as most likely your final product, because again, you need to spend time on it, but I'll try to make it as good as possible. I'm gonna, okay, I feel like my multiply layer is going a little too dark now, so I'm gonna try to be more subtle. There you go. This is a good one right here. You can also make new layers all the time temporarily. For example, I could make one layer now. I just made a new layer, and then like paint, and then make a new layer really quick, and then paint again, and do changes like really fast. So, and then you will end up with a lot of layers at the end, but you can control each and every single layer that you'll make. That's another way you could go around, you know, doing adjustments and things like that. But again, all of these subtleties, I'm pretty much a parrot now. It's the same thing over and over again. I'm just looking for edges. Like there's an usually there's an edge around here because of the muscles of the mouth. The eyes, I'll go back to the eyes as well. So any chance I get, because your image is so soft looking, the moment I add an edge to it, you'll have a better balance between the two, sharp and soft. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks. My brain has expanded. Let me give it a bit more saturation. And again, I'm trying not to go too dark here. It is a little tricky. Making something have a lot of definition, but still like a soft look to it. You will be a lot more dependent on hard edges, right? Okay, so I think I'm almost done. On the face, I will help on the rest of the. Okay, so I'm looking for a sharp edge here that I can make the anatomy also stand out some more. So for example, we don't see the nose ridge here. Maybe I can add just very, very gently, can add just a little sharp edge like right here. Just leave a little bit of sharp edge there and soften up on the other side a little bit. And it's just at this point on your image, the subtleties at the end work really, really well, because you're beyond the point of, it is not the beginning of the image. This is sort of like you're getting ready to render and finish the image pretty much. Let's add. I'm gonna add just a little shadow there and soften up in areas. Just a little bit. Like so. All right. Again, you don't want to. Oh shit! I forgot. I forgot to undo this. It's fine. It's good. When creating cast shadows, you want to be careful, because I see some of especially the image on the right has quite a few cast shadows. Actually, both of them have quite a big cast shadows. When doing cast shadows, you don't want to just like just do that and call it a day. It does not look good. You want to give it a gradient, right? So you have let's say this is a cast shadow on her forehead. You want to give it sort of like some areas are a little brighter than others and some areas are a little softer than others. You want to give it variety. And in both variety in sharpness, like the edge of the brushstroke, variety in how light or dark an area is, and variety on actually I did mention variety on the edges. So some areas here where it might be a little less bony or softer, maybe we'll add a couple of make that edge a little softer just there, but at the top of the head it might we can leave a little bit of a sharper edge. Eyes have good anatomy. Your eyes seem to... I mean, I will get to that after applying the values here. Your eyes seem to be a little misplaced. There's some proportion issues that it will be easier to fix once I have these values set up. So I will get to that. But there is a small issue with mainly the further away eye and eyebrow. And I'll help you out with that. So I'm gonna actually, you know what? Let's stop here so this doesn't become like a 2-hour. Let's look away, look from far away, and there's a lot more definition. One thing that you'll want to do is tie in the character. Should bring. Well, Need to reselect the face here. You want to add a little bit of red to the character and like to the lighting so that it matches a bit with the background, but I'll get to that in a moment. But let's just do that. Okay, I'll fix your, or I'll help you with your anatomy. Or the eyes themselves are not like an issue. It's more of a proportion issue. I know something is wrong. I'll show you in a second. Let's okay, I'll just make a new layer. I'm gonna select this whole eye, whole eyebrow. Actually, I'll paint over. I'll make a new layer and just paint over normally. So the main issue is there's two main issues here. Is that the eyebrow, the construction of your eye here, the eyebrow it seems to be a little too raised for a natural eyebrow. Now you can have eyebrows like this. I'm just gonna outline your eye here a little bit to show you what I mean. So you have the brow bone here, right? You have the eye. This is like a skull. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? The corner of your eye, of the eyebrow, generally tends to be kind of like here, and then it actually goes down. Usually, of course, everyone's eyebrows are different, but if these were painted eyebrows, or for example, like the reference next to us, she has the eyebrows like shaven here, which give the illusion of the eyebrow being like very have a big rise to it because it was shaven and shapen to that. But naturally, if you are going to do that to your character, I mean, if you're not going to do that to your character, but you want to follow more a natural curve to the eye, then you do want your eyebrow here to go a little lower. There you go. This eye is actually pretty okay, generally speaking. Thankfully, there's enough, as far as anatomy goes, thankfully there's enough variety in anatomy that this could be okay. There is a couple adjustments you could do. You know what? I'll use liquify for this because it'll be faster. So even on this eye, and then I'll do the other eye next to it. So one thing you could do, let's make this smaller. All right, let's zoom in there. So your eye is a little too flat. It's not that the anatomy is wrong. Anatomy is fine. But we could benefit, whether you're Asian yourself, so you can just look in the mirror. But there's still, anyway, enough of a curve that the eyelid follows the eyeball. Because everyone's eyeballs are round, no matter what kind of eyelid shape you have. So you want a little bit of that, the eyelid to follow the roundness of your eyeball a little bit. You can make it just a little. I'm just making it a little rounder. It's all I'm doing. So for example, the lower lid had the same issue a little bit. So we're gonna rise the very end of it. We're just gonna bring it down like so, and the same goes with the crease on the eye, like that. And we're gonna rise it just a little bit here. And again, these are all just small adjustments. You don't really need a lot because you already did a good enough job. Maybe the eyeliner or eyelash. I guess this is an eyeliner. Could be a little raised up. And bam. So you see a little before and after. I may have actually overdone mine just a little bit because I didn't have the face to compare it to. But there you go. Now you just have the eyeball forming around a little bit more. The eyelid forming a little bit around the eyeball, and that gives it form and makes it a little less flat, right? It's a bit more dynamic too because the eye sort of like goes like that in shape. So small adjustments, That's how you apply anatomy. Just use Liquify made my career. It's true. All right. So what I'm gonna be doing here, I'm just gonna take care of that. There you go. I also think your eyebrow might be a little too like high. So let's take that, lower it down just a notch. Oh, another thing is that, so yeah, the placement of your eyebrow is really, really important in characters. So for example, your eye, the way you're drawing, how can I explain this in a simple way without spending an hour? According to anatomy, she's at an angle, right? She's at a 3/4 view. You need to think of, oh, here, I'll just draw it. You need to think of the anatomy underneath the features. So for example, in your case, here, you would have, okay, so actually let's do it with red. There you go. The shapes that you would have on the face here, again, this is, you'll get better at it the more you understand about construction of the face, but you sort of have this, you know, shape to the face here. Again, everyone's shapes are a little different, etc. But you got to think of, like, if she's at an angle and this is the center of her face, the eyebrow, the way you're drawing the eyebrow now is as if it was a bit from a front view. What we need to do is take that eyebrow and move it according to the perspective. So just a little bit to the right so that it's a bit beyond the eyelids. You see the same in the reference. Now we just take away a little bit of the hairs here, but you want to move it just a little bit. I guess we could move it a little down too, and this should feel a bit more natural. We can even extend the there you go. If you want to have that Asian like style to the eyebrows, you can have that. Yeah, that definitely feels better, especially when I flip the canvas. Definitely feels better. Eyebrow. Okay. So now the other eye is the bigger issue. Now, the way you solve it is by comparing. So I'll grab red again. So comparing and measuring. So the distance between the two eyebrows here, right? So you have this little space here, and then, for example, I measure, like, okay, the beginning of the eyebrow, I'll zoom in there too, the beginning of the eyebrow here, right? How would that be at an angle? This is a bit of a perspective issue that you'll just get better as you study and stuff. Usually foreshortening is not that easy, so you want a bit of a angle here, and then you just keep measuring over and over again like that. Maybe, of course, this side is going to be shorter than the other side, but it might be a bit too much or not enough. Give me just a second. Got some food, chat. All right. So I'm pretty much just measuring the eyebrows here, and this one would go down here, and this one would go down there too. There is a bit of actually, this is pretty okay. There's the shape here of the face could be a little better, but we'll fix that. And the same goes for thickness. So let's say that the thickness of these points would be like that. It's all about measuring, really. And with a bit of foreshortening, you can kind of do the same. So your eyebrow here is a little too thin. So this one is going to be significantly thicker, and then thinner, and then thinner again. So that's how I would solve this issue from, you know, just like fixing your image. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this. The reason why I can just eyeball it and figure this out is it's just due to yeah, this needs to be bigger for sure. Due to how like experience, really, and you will be able to do the same as you keep going. Just keep studying, you'll be fine. I mean, you're already doing pretty good. So, at first you'll have to do these like this. It's kind of boring, I guess, like measuring, making sure that everything is sort of like aligned. But at some point, you don't have to do it as much. I'm gonna zoom out here a bit. You don't have to do it as much because you kind of like, due to experience, you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I know what I need to do. But even then, when I don't know what to do, I will go through the trouble of like measuring everything and making sure that stuff aligns. So you see how it's like one eye seem to be pretty like rised up. If she was doing an expression, this could actually work. But it seems like she is a bit of a bit more in a natural state. For example, like in the reference up here, the second one, she's like doing a eyebrow, rising the eyebrow. So sort of like, what are you doing? But in your case, it seems like that wasn't like what you were going for. If it is, then I still think it needs a bit of a needs to be fixed, this eyebrow. But you can definitely like keep you could definitely keep it lowered, right? It's just that you would only need to fix the thickness and maybe a little bit of the beginning shapes here, if that was the case, if you had like a eyebrow thing. So with the eyebrow here, you don't actually see the curvature much. I wanted to make her more dangerous. Well, this definitely will help that. So if you're going for a dangerous look, making the further away eyebrow more angled, just like this one, will definitely give her more of a, maybe even arrogant, like dangerous / arrogant kind of look. Because you see, like now he looks kind of sad, especially after flipping. Like she looks kind of sad here, and now she's kind of like more of a boss, you know? She doesn't fuck around, maybe. So, also, since this part here is further away, I'm gonna create a little contrast for the eye. Hi, Dianade, how you doing? Anyone joining in, welcome on in. I'm doing a paint over. This is not my own work. I'm doing paint over. All of this is recorded and will be put in a playlist here on Twitch, so you guys can rewatch it, and maybe you'll learn something. Who knows? Okay, let me see. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. We're definitely getting somewhere. If you want her a more dangerous look, I'm actually gonna lower both eyebrows just a bit, so that she's just a bit more serious. You know, if that was your goal, I'm gonna change it according to that. Give her a bit more space here on the eyebrow, and all right. Let me fix the nose here. Okay, so that's the eyebrows. Of course, you yourself need to. I will do a little bit of photo bashing to show you what I would do at the very end of the paint over. But you might want to do what I will be showing you to like the eyebrows, eyes, maybe parts of the nose and lips, and everything else can be sort of like painted. As far as like photo bashing. There you go. All right. So let's make this that. Of course, it can be better. Just spend time on it, and it will be better. The eye. Now, the eye is too small. That's the first thing I notice. It's too small, and the angle of it is not correct either. Thankfully, it's just a small adjustment. So here's the thing. The only time eyes are going to be so different sizes, especially on a portrait, is when there are extreme angles to it. For example, blah. The woman here, even here, the size doesn't. This blue woman here, the size actually doesn't even change. It appears to change because of how foreshortened this eye here is. But if you're gonna like measure from tip to tip of the eye, or the top part, if you're gonna measure them, they're pretty much the same. Maybe just a smidgen smaller, but for the most part, it is pretty even. Now, if we're gonna do the same for your character here, again, if you're gonna measure stuff, that'll save you so much trouble from now on. So if you're gonna do like the same, I'm gonna try to touch from like the highest point of one eyelid to the other. Actually, I'll just do that. There you go. And then from the lowest point of each eyelid, like there. It may appear, it's a bit of an illusion that it may appear like they're the same size, but not really. I'm trying to, my line art here covers it a bit. But what's happening is that I'm running out of colors here. It's too many colors. What's happening is that it's creating a little bit of it's narrowing down the other eye pretty much. And also, especially when we start comparing like the shapes to each eye. I know I changed this one already, so it looks even more different. But an easy solution for this is, again, measuring. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a little bigger. You can even like compare it side by side. It's pretty close, right? Maybe just a smidgen smaller. Come on, Photoshop, like that. And then let's bring it where it was. It already looks better. I will adjust it. So what you need to adjust is the width, not the height. And that's one thing that a lot of people seem to not like. It's just an easy mistake, is that you're drawing the further away eye, especially since it's a very 3/4 view. Your eye will narrow more because of foreshortening, but the height of it isn't really going to be touched. The only time the height of the eye would be squashed or stretched is if her head would either tilt really high or really low. And again, that's something you learn as you study like perspective, and foreshortening comes with it. So what we're gonna do is first of all, I think it's a little too might be a little too high, and I'm gonna squash her eye. Come on, Photoshop. All right, so I'm just gonna squash her eye a little bit. Of course, this is an easier solution. I do think you should paint or repaint a little bit the eye to fit more of the foreshortening. I'll do that for you here a little bit. And I do think that the eye could be tilted just a little inwards to match the there you go. So if I change, I think you can tell if I go back and forth how distorted the eye looks, and I didn't even like paint a new shape to it. Hi Rita, you solved the problem. Nice. So you can see already how disshapen it was by just doing this simple, simple tweak. No, wait, I'm removing the shadows for no reason here. So oh yeah, so the eye, you could tweak it a little bit. Like for example, the eyelashes don't really end there, especially considering where your character is, your character's eyes. You can kind of, again, it all goes back to measuring. I'm pretty much just repeating the same thing over and over again. It goes back to measuring, and you can kind of like do the same with the other character. So because I distorted, the eyeball looks distorted here as well. That's why I would recommend anytime you warp tool or do any liquify tool changes, etc., you always need to go back and do the paint over and readjust. You're pretty much redrawing, or at least a little bit, redrawing a little bit the eye to match the to make it corrected, because Photoshop can only do so much. All right, so I'm gonna, again, eyelashes or the eyelid wraps around the eyeball, same thing as the other that I said on the other eye. You keep that in mind. So the corner of the eye is pretty like I need to lower down the corner of your eye on the further away eyeball here, so that it matches the same structure as this one, and the crease can be where it is. It's fine. Knowing the forms of the face will help you a lot to know where to add the shadow or light. I can't really help you with that. It's all about construction of the face. So that's what I would maybe have a book open. Even when you do photo bashing, especially if you do photo bashing, it's very easy to make someone look weird. So keep a book open, a reference open of like the construction of the face. Maybe someone can link like I think it's called Asaro Head reference, which is like, it's like a sculpture of a really blocky face, and that can show you the main or the most common sort of like angles to the structure of a face. Obviously, everyone is a little different in their, or a lot different in the structure of the faces, but it's always good to have a guide or a reference for like a general sort of guide for the construction of a face. So here, in your case, I feel like your character is just a little more angled. There's one thing I do think you need to change, that it's pretty big, that I just noticed now, is that your character's features seem to slope a little bit. And what I mean by that is this. Like, the features seem to be very like, it's like your character would be having like a round kind of like structure to her. So what I would do, I'm actually going to stop the eye here. It's good enough. You can definitely make it better than what I'm doing here. But I feel like you get the point. So I'm going to continue with other places. Eyes and nose seem to be okay. The mouth, I think, is a little too much to the front, and the jaw. So what I'm gonna do is grab this whole thing and just blah 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 around there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this definitely feels better. So look at her face, like any of their faces actually in the reference. I'll zoom in for you. Remove colors. There you go. So here on the face, look at the angle. That's the one thing that will help you, which is part of measuring again. Look at the angle of the face here. In your case, Let me remove that. You do have that, but at a much lesser degree. So you need to be a bit bolder with the outline of your face. So you do have this, but it's very, look at the slope, it's very minimal. You know, maybe here it's quite a bit, like the forehead is a bit there's a little bit too much slope to the forehead. We'll change that too. But by adjusting even just the jaw, now we get a bigger, whoa. Now we get, why can't I? Oh, it's because of this. Now we get a bigger slope here to the side of the face. And once we've mess with the forehead, you'll see that the same will happen, and it just immediately feels better. So I'm just gonna erase where this was. I'm gonna obviously clean up here for you a little bit. There you go. Now I'm gonna do the same with the eye. And now the forehead, I know she's tilting her head, I get that, but I still feel like here, maybe it's because of the values, I don't know, but I feel like here could be done a bit better. So like that. I did some studies with the Asaro head. Oh, there you go. So keep Asaro head open for sure. Like, especially if you're gonna be photo bashing, like using photos, definitely keep it open. And honestly, there's really nothing more I can tell you other than, you know, like, you're doing a good job. Keep going. Pay extra attention, or maybe do some more Asaro heads studies, or just keep it open generally. But what you want to do for sure is measurement. I feel like you're not doing that enough. I mean, it appears. I don't know if you are or not, because I don't know how you're studying. But I would suggest you that you definitely benefit from studying a bit more on measuring stuff. So there you go. Now we have, like, you can't really grow much fat or even muscle on, like, on your forehead and stuff. You do have muscles like around and stuff, but generally speaking, no matter how fat you are, you're not gonna have a lot going on here. So the edges of the forehead will always be somewhat pronounced, even on someone who has soft features. So even if you have a very delicate features, you will still have this. So we went from that, and now we need to change it again, because now we fixed. Now we have actual form. And anyways, I still think that you could do a better job than what I'm doing here, because, you know, you can still tweak. I feel like the distance of the forehead here is a little too short. Like, maybe you could add more here. Maybe you can add more to the outer side of the face, or more to the inner side of the forehead here. I do believe it's a bit narrow, so maybe we'll fix that just now for you. Let's remove this, that. Let's take that. Yeah, definitely you need to do that. Now as I'm changing things more and more, I'm gonna just use a warp tool, and I'm gonna be lazy about it. But I would believe that you need a little, like, curve here to just show a bit more space, like so. Of course, you can go back here if you want to, but just a bit more. This actually might be a little too much. It's a touch. There you go. There you go. Now it feels like there's a lot more space to her face. And yeah, some of these I can't really help you with. You just need to study or you just keep practicing. It's like that for everybody. No one can run from that. And I feel like the further away eye is still not okay, in my opinion. I feel like the width of it, the height is forgiving, but the width, I'm just gonna give it a little bit more red to the eyes. All right, there you go. Oh yeah, the mouth. I was doing the mouth. Now that I moved the mouth, I need to make the corner of. Oh yeah, also the mouth seems to be a bit angled wrong, so that the tilt of the mouth seems to be could be a bit better. So I'm just gonna try to straighten it a little, like a touch, and then you want her to have a serious. If you want her to have a serious face or a serious look to her, like she's tough, so I'm gonna be careful to not make her smile. And now, I do think you can practice for shortening, because most of this side of the face is pretty okay. It's only small adjustments, but the moment you paint something that it's like at a higher degree angle, you seem to be needing a bit more like focus on that. So I'm gonna try to fix it for you. I need a darker value for this. There you go. I'm gonna flip the canvas because it's better on the eyes. Okay. There's really not much to say here other than you know, just keep on. I feel like the lips could be maybe. I was gonna say maybe the lips could be bigger, but honestly, there's so much variety in lips that this is actually quite okay. But maybe just a touch, and still a bit more to the left, even more. There you go. Maybe let's see how it looks with just a touch bigger. Maybe that'll feel better. Okay, let's do that. Let's do this. I'm making her lower lip just a little less like bulgy. Again, at this point, like the changes that I'm making here, it can be a bit more personal than an actual critique. So take it with a grain of salt. You know, you just do what you want at this point. So there you go. What else can I help you with? Oh yeah, the chin. The chin could be. Actually, we could take the chin once again and bring it in just a little bit more. Just a touch more. So I'm gonna grab that. Blah. There you go. Easy clap. And can bring the shadow once again. There you go. And I'm just softening some of these harder brushes that I have here. All right, so the hair. I did mention it in the beginning of the paint over. Anyone joining in? I'm doing a paint over. These always take like an hour or so because I try to be pretty in depth with it. This is not my work, although it looks pretty cool. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit of what I'm doing right now is nothing different than what I said before. I'm just looking for bone placement, changes in the angles of the face. So if it goes in, then it might have more shadow. If it goes out, then it's gonna catch light a lot easier. If it's a bony area, then I'm making the brush strokes sharper. So it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's just that I'm constantly scanning for areas, right? The nose could be just a tad. Like we can make it a tad smaller by making the edges a little. Is the neck good? Seems too straight. Well, I mean, I'm doing the face just for now. We'll get to the neck. But looking at the neck, I think it's partially the hair is covering. Oh, actually, no, the hair is not covering the back. I guess we could see just a smidge there. It is not too straight. It's pretty okay. You could benefit with just a slight what's the word I'm looking for? Like curve to it, just to show that it's like connected, but it's not really necessary. There's enough variety in anatomy that this neck looks pretty okay. The angle of the neck, though, is fine. Honestly, necks aren't straight. Actually, I don't know why you would say this neck would be straight, because it's clearly at an angle. Because necks don't stick up; they tilt a little forward, and this is exactly what's happening. Especially once you compare the neck with the chest angle, it clearly shows that there's a tilt to it. However, you could benefit with a little bit of a connection there, right under the chin, but you don't really have to. It's not a huge deal. It's not something. It's a small area. There's other areas that I would definitely put more focus on. The hair. Let's talk quickly about the hair. So the way they do the hair is that you need to show a bit more. It's something as simple as just showing a bit more root to the hairs that you got going on here. That will create volume, because right now your hair looks quite flat, like it would be stuck to the scalp, and you want to give it bam. Even when you have very thin hair, there's always a substantial amount of form, because unless you're wet, unless the hair is wet, I guess, then it might really stick to the scalp of your to the top of your head. But right now, I don't think that's the case. So you really want to add some volume here, like really make it pop out. Don't be afraid to do that, like so. You can bring this back here. Bam, bam. And there you go. Now it's actually, I may have overdone it here on the very, very side, where it's not that the hair is thin, is that it, according to perspective, it pulls away from us. So I might actually just just add a little bit of volume there, like that, especially at the top here, and you're good. What else? This further away eye is still kind of bothering me. I hate to leave it as is. I think it needs to still be a little lower. That does feel better. A little lower and a little narrower. There you go. Oh yeah. So wait, the hair. I'm getting distracted by that eye. The hair. I think what you're trying to do is good. You're trying to add volume to the hair. I think you're not adding enough, especially compared to the other pictures. Not only especially compared to the other pictures, but look at how bright your light is. The hair is going to be quite a lot affected by the intensity of the light as well. So you definitely want to match that to the face and obviously everywhere else. So you do want to have a bit of a, you know, like a brighter glow here. If the since it's so bright on the face, right? And that will make your hair more volumetric as well. Lips, yeah, I mean, I will leave the lips to you because it's a matter of taste, but I pretty much fixed a little bit of the perspective issue with that there. Make sure that the connection of, like, you know what? Let's see before and after. Oh, there you go. All right, we'll do a proper before and after. But oh, whoops. Make sure that when you're connecting parts of the face, like the side of the head to the ear, usually there's a little, either a little shadow or there's a change in the planes of the face and the ear. So you definitely wanna make sure that that's a thing. Also, the neck here will be significantly darker for the most part, besides where the muscle, this muscle would be here, would pop out just a little bit more. But for the most part, I feel like it would be pretty, I'll do it with a soft brush, it'd be pretty dark. And the same might be just a little bit here. Let's make it darker. I'm not moving away from the face. I feel like the face is pretty much, I said pretty much everything. There should be that I would change. Let's go a bit to the, yeah. Okay, so given the light direction that you have here, I'm gonna make a multiply layer. And I'm gonna kind of follow what you got going here a little bit. So you want to make your image more contrasty. That it's pretty much that. I did say it in the beginning. Oh yeah, color. You want to match also the environment color a little bit to your character. So I'm gonna go around with the red and make it so that she's in the scene. Right, so just kind of like giving it a red glow. Once again, do spend time on this. What I'm doing, I wouldn't consider it quote unquote acceptable for me. I would definitely spend time on it, but this paintover is already going for quite long, and I don't want to bore you guys to death. But you get the point. Right, it's mainly the shadows. In your case, I would make the light shining on her be more of a cooler, or it can even be less desaturated red. It can be like a pink, right? But the shadows would definitely be. I would definitely make them quite bathed in red. Actually, maybe not a lot, but definitely just a touch. You wanna make it feel like she's in the scene. And there you go. Maybe just a little lower. Tech, do you wanna take a walk outside? Take a breather, huh? All right. What's wrong with you guys today? There you go. All right. I would keep tweaking on it, obviously. What else? What else is there? I do think you could benefit from... There's a little bit on the character. Here, I'm going to outline this. All right. And you could benefit a little bit from... ambient light. Let's go with an overlay, I guess. You have a bit of a yellow there. Maybe you could use some of that yellow. That could look cool, huh? Just play around a little bit with the environment that you have around the character. That could be cool, huh? Let's go with a... you also want to be very, what's the word? Subtle? I guess subtle, it's not exactly the word I'm looking for. But you definitely want to be careful with the amount that you would add. Because you don't want it to be too... You just don't want it to be too much, you know? There you go. Maybe just like a touch here on the lip, a touch on the nose, maybe a little bit inside of the eyebrow to really like bring, you know, it's the only yellow here, so you can bring a little bit of contrast and focus to it. But again, you want to be very, very subtle. I don't know if I would even be as bold as I am here. So you want to, yeah, just be sensible with it. Yeah, this might be a little much here and there. And then you can add there. I guess at this point is a matter of taste as well. So it can be a bit of... No, maybe not. Definitely not on the eyeball. Just gonna lower it down a little bit. Like so. Now, the sky... I can see that in the references you sent me, the sky can affect it too. So we can add a bit of pink. I said pink. I said pink. It's not working. Oh, there you go. That's too bright. Oh, there you go. So you want to add just a little bit on the very, very edges or at the very top. Right there. Oh, and lastly, I would probably add just a smidgen of that same pink to the very, very highlights. Again, you want to be super subtle with this. But like the highlights of the nose, cheekbones, like in very specific spots, I would add them. Because it'll help with the form and to match to your target, which is... You know, you said it's the images at the top, so I'm doing my best to help you get towards that. But like, I would be super careful with it, you know. And I didn't even touch the flower, but everything that I mentioned on the face. I'd say the main focus is definitely the face. Everything that I mentioned on the face, I would recommend doing it everywhere else. As far as photo bashing goes, I will mention that you want to use, for example, if you are going to photo bash parts of the face on this character, you don't want to use a full eye, for example, unless you find the perfect like reference. But usually, let's say the eye here, you want to grab maybe 2, maybe even 3 different sets of eyes, and you'll do like the corner of the eye, you photo bash from one picture, then the center from another one, or maybe the eyeball from another one, and the corner of the eye from a different one. You want to make a variety. I mean, there's a reason other than like it'll look better that way. You don't really want to get into trouble by having someone's eyes specifically. I don't think you would. It's rare to find someone getting in trouble because of that. But just to be safe, it's always good to have multiple parts from multiple. I have parts of the face from multiple references, just in case. You know, you never know, and you don't want to be that person where people always like, I guess they're gonna point out or whatever. But that's what I would do for the that's what I would do for your image according to what you requested, which was to match or at least give you a direction towards what could be fixed and match towards what they have here at the top. This is before, this is after. You mentioned that you wanted her to be more... there's still a couple of issues. There'll always be because, you know, this is a paint over. I'm not going to spend as much time as you are. But your face was a little distorted, like angled like that. I still don't like the eyebrow or the further away eye. This is something that will always be... you always have to work on. But you wanted her to look more dangerous, so I made her look more dangerous. More of a, you know, she's a boss, less of a I'm a sweet girl. Less of a beautiful picture and more of a dangerous sort of looking picture. Again, I wouldn't consider that eye and that eyebrow there still okay, even at this stage. I would definitely work on the angles of it. I'm just gonna not touch it anymore because I'm just gonna be here forever. But you can tell even at a smaller scale. So this is where you want to make sure that it'll read. Is that even at a smaller scale, we can tell that the eye is at the same angle as the other references. The color could still be better, in my opinion, especially in the brighter areas. Could be more like related to the environment. I guess a quick thing you could do is the color balance. That could be a quick fix. Whoa, what happened? Oh, there you go. This could be a quick fix, I guess, in the highlights. Oh, there you go. Oh, easy clap. All right, so you could add just a little bit magenta to it. The shadows, actually the shadows can be as it is, but even just a touch already makes a difference. Your character was looking a little like too green/blue, and this might even be a little too much now that I have the. Oh wait, something happened here. Did something move? I just noticed now. I may have misplaced something, I feel. What's that? It looks buggy here. Do you guys see that? Why did that happen? What did I do? I broke it! This is what happens when you have 5 million layers. Here, I'll just flatten everything. Oh no, I can't, because you want the... Okay, ignore that. I don't know why there's that weird effect. It's not selected. Oh wait, I found it. No, I didn't. I lied. Okay, you can do without that, I guess. now that we have that more pink. This was the add more pink to the scene thing, but we don't need it because we have the color balance. But that concludes. Oh wait, give me a second. That concludes the paint over. Hopefully it was helpful. Thank you once again for your tier 3 sub and for requesting a paintover. I'll DM you the PSD, and you will be added in the Discord with the video so that you can rewatch it. Although it's probably really long, but you can rewatch it if you want to. But all right, see you on the next one.